In this episode, we're going to have a powerful conversation about how to identify fear from a more subconscious, hidden level. So that way you can bring it to your awareness, eradicate it, and show up more powerfully in life and business. This is one episode you're going to want to stick around for. So stay tuned. I'm Adam Kadu, and it's time to master the art of real heart alignment, where you live, work, and play from your personal power as energy aligns, your gifts flow, and life simply works. These life-changing conversations are designed to help you to see what you're not seeing, hear what you're not hearing, and to be who you're not being, as the world needs more heart-centered leaders now more than ever. Are you ready to say no to living a half-hearted life and say yes instead to boldly living from a place of real heart alignment? Welcome to the Adam Kadu podcast. Yo. Welcome back to another episode of the Adam Kadu podcast. In this episode, on this very day, we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects. That subject is fear. Wow, fear. So all throughout my entrepreneur journey, my life, if you will, there's been moments of time where I've got the opportunity, and yes, I said the opportunity, to see fear for what it was. And as soon as you have that awareness, as soon as you can hold fear in your awareness, you have the ability to dissect it, to dismantle it, to dissolve it, and let that stuff go. Because if indeed you can get to a point where fear is no longer in your way, it's no longer in your mind, it's no longer in your awareness, it's no longer in your energy body, all of a sudden, you start to feel different. And when you feel different, you project yourself differently. And when you project yourself differently, people start to take notice. And when people start to take notice, you start to take notice. And there's this growth, this evolution, this yin and yang, this flow of good energy coming your way. But I'm telling you, my friend, if indeed you are riddled with fear in your thinking and in your being, it will eat you alive and it will slow you down. Because we all came here. We all came here with an agreement, with a written contract. We came here in choice. We chose what experiences we wanted to experience. But what we didn't necessarily choose is how we respond to those instances. What we didn't choose, what we didn't fully know and understand in writing the agreement to come here and to have this experience, we didn't fully know how to navigate these tricky situations. Because as soon as our light body stepped into this 3D-ness, this body, if you will, all of a sudden, this body didn't quite have the consciousness as our higher selves do and as our energy does. And right now, I just had the thought. So I work out of this office. I love my office, but there's a pretty busy road right basically in front of me. And there's just cars that go by all day long. They do not bother me whatsoever. But when I'm recording something and I hear a motorcycle go by while I'm recording something, I start to think, how is that being portrayed? I don't even know if you can hear it, but it starts to actually bring up a little bit of fear. I can feel it in my chest. And so there's still opportunities, even though, especially in the last month, I've been on a journey to let go of fear. Especially in the last month, there's still stuff that I'm dealing with, needing to be liked, needing to be seen in a certain way. But I'm telling you, I was having a conversation with my wife yesterday. I was like, there was a point in time where in high school, especially, like I was confident. I didn't really care what other people thought. And in not caring what other people thought, not having this fear consume me of how I needed to be perceived, I could be myself. And when I was myself, I was attractive. I was engaging. Like people would want to hang out with me. People would want me to, entertain and stuff. I used to sing. I used to dance funny. I used to make up raps. I used to tell these elaborate stories that I would kind of make up on the fly just to crack people up. And all weekends, like every single weekend, people would message me, or not actually, that was kind of before, a little bit before I had a cell phone. I think my first cell phone was probably my junior year, maybe my senior year in high school. But people would message me or they would call me on my personal phone each and every weekend. And they're like, what are we doing this weekend? What's the plan? What's the plan? They wanted to follow me, right? They wanted to know what's up. They wanted to know what's good. And I was telling my wife just yesterday, I was like, I've kind of just lost touch of that, this flow of just going, and I could even hear it when I replay some of my videos sometimes. Like there's just slight stutters here and there. I'm trying to find the perfect words. I'm trying to say things in a certain way. And especially in this crazy world with TikToks and reels, it's just like you got to do the hook and then the story and then the call to action and all this stuff. It's like you get so much in your analytical 3D brain that you get in your own damn way. And if you listen to last week's episode, if you haven't, go listen. It's a good one. I basically admitted, I put it out there that I started showing up differently through just getting beat up by my little guys, especially my 1-year-old who has not been sleeping. We're taking some action and doing some stuff about that. But it got to a point where I literally just lost myself. All the heart-centered principles that I taught people and then I've practiced and then I was owning for a very long time, I lost sight of all of it, like so much. And fear overtook me. And I still have fear that I'm releasing, I'm letting go of. And I've been on this journey this last month to really eradicate all the BS. And I had this moment just last night. I was getting ready for bed, laying down, relaxing, and I was listening to some Abraham Hicks. And all of a sudden, I just saw this glimpse of this ball of energy inside my head, and it was kind of outside of my head as well, in my energy field, in my energy body. And it was fear. And I put my awareness on it, and I could feel it, and I could see it. I could see the shape of it. I got familiar with it. I got close with it. And it was so freaking interesting because then I was like, okay, what is causing this fear? What's the thought? And sometimes, yes, there was a thought that preceded that fear, but sometimes that fear has been there for days or weeks or months or years. And so in this episode, I'm going to have a little fun. I'm going to do a couple exercises with you to really get a sense for where you're holding fear in your body. Because chances are it's in your body, it's in your energy field. And yet again, step number 1 always for me is awareness. Got to have that awareness. Because when you can see it, when you can feel it, when you can put it in your awareness, you can do something about it. And without putting your thumb on it, without really seeing it for what it is, it's going to continue to plague you in one way or another. And so entertain this for a minute. Entertain this for a minute. Just think for a minute, you have your chakras, right? No secret on this podcast. I think everybody listening, kind of knows about your chakras. You tune into your chakras. Start to get a sense, run down your body, take a minute. If you're driving, I'm not going to, put you in a hypnosis state or anything, but just pay attention. Because I know sometimes people listen to podcasts when they're driving, but just pay attention, be safe. And start to run down, starting, let's say, above your head. Start to run down and start to see where is there more density. Let's not try to label it. Let's not try to figure it out. Let's not try to do anything other than just where is there density in your body or in your light body, if you will. And for me, it's not so much at the top of my head, the crown chakra, right? But I've realized that there's been a tremendous amount of resistance and heaviness in my third eye. And I have not been seeing my angel numbers. I have not been having these intuitive hits because I feel like there has been fear that's been clouding that. And if you are not feeling like you're in the flow, if life isn't easy, if you are not, seeing your own, signs and synchronicities, then chances are you have something blocking that third eye. And chances are there's a lot of vibrations. My wife and I were talking about this yesterday too. It's kind of cool that for a long time, so she actually, in let's say 2008, 2009, she cracked my world wide open. She introduced me to my first, I guess, call it hypnosis, call it a guided meditation, if you will. And I went through this and I listened to this audio, the CD back in the day. Y'all kids know what the CDs is. And it literally was like, what is this? Like I felt so blissed out, so amazing afterwards, but it was short-lived. because we had our own things we were going through. And she actually told me at one point, she was like, can't be all positive all the time. And I was like, oh, I can't. I'm being silly and stupid because I'm being positive. And I took it to heart. I was like, okay, so there's, I've got to be a realist, and I've got to, see, both sides of everything. And it really kind of weighed me down because I was on such a path of like eating this up. And then years later, I kind of circled back and I was like, what was that feeling? Like I felt so good at that point in time. So I started dipping into it again. So she cracked me open. She kind of opened the book. But I'd say the last, I don't know, 7 years, it's been hard pressed to have these deeper conversations with her about the law of attraction, spirituality, energy, all the things. But man, in the last 4 months, she's on it. Like she is soaking it up. She's doing more work than I'm doing right now. And I'm like, hey, it's kind of sparking it back in me. It's like, let's do this thing together. So we're having deeper conversations together than we ever had before. We're actively manifesting or setting intentions. We are also just talking about more deeper things that are going on with us to bring them to the surface, so that way we can do something about them. Because there's been a lot of things that were just kind of staying hidden in the shadows out of fear of being judged, out of fear of what that might, look like to bring that up. So anyways, back to the third eye, just check in with it a little bit. Like, how does it feel? Does your head feel clear when you speak? Are you on point? Are you focused? Are you able to work, effectively without having to, have ADD, things of that nature? How does it feel up there? Like, just tune into it for a second. For me, I actually did a Reiki session 2 weeks ago. And it was interesting because that was the primary place. Like usually it's like, my lower stomach is where I kind of block energy. Like I always carry a little bit more weight down there. I'm working on that now just to push myself, eradicate that. But I've always kind of just like wanted to block energy. I wanted to protect myself in that area. But right now I'm in this place where my third eye just opening up like crazy. And there literally like felt like such density in there. And I saw this visualization of this blob of energy that kind of just like came down, and it went down my, my chakras and out my, she gave me like this tunnel, vision of this tunnel like around me, and I was able to flush it out to the earth. And then I had this visualization of this snake that actually kind of crawled up in there and was breaking up the dirt, if you will. That's kind of the visual I got. And just to remove that a little bit more. So I feel so much more free in my third eye. But at the same time, there's so much fear and resistance up there still. If I think in business sometimes, and this used to be me for years, like this was it. I would have a thought, I'd be excited about something, and then I'd think, well, maybe it's not possible, or I'd have some negative thought, thought that would stop me, and boom, it's done. Or then I'd start to try to navigate from this place of fear, and I was done for. I was toast. I toasted myself. And so now I get an opportunity to free that energy, free the channel a little bit more and a little bit more. And I see now when I go to a fear thought, for me, like I've just written this in my DNA. It's like attack that. And I about threw out some cuss words there, some choice words. I like to keep it clean because, I don't know. It's just a pain to cuss on the podcast, and you got to like disclose it, I think, with Apple and and bleep it out or whatever. So I'm going to try to keep it clean here, but feeling pretty passionate here today. But it's like, if I am resisting something at all right now, I'm going right after it. There's no time for this. Like my dad, we were going to try to catch up with my dad yesterday. My dad and I have kind of a weird relationship. I love him dearly. We're just kind of like keep our distance. And lately I'm like leaning into that. And I checked in with him on Saturday. I said, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? Love to catch up. The plan was to catch up. We had a terrible night again with the little man. So in the morning, we just didn't get our footing in time to get some stuff going before nap time. But then we checked in with him. We were going to go out of town to go hiking, 20 minutes away, or just hit these trails. And we sent him a message, checked in with them. They got it too late, couldn't go with us. And they sent a message back. And anyways, he kind of sent, kind of a slight message today. It was just kind of a little passive aggressive. And an older version of me would have just kind of sat back and let that bother me. But I'm like, okay, there's some snottiness there. I'm just going to call him on it. So I just called him on it. Right. It's just like the thought entered my mind. It's just like, oh, just let it go. Maybe he's in a bad mood or something. I'm like, no, that was kind of a crappy deal. Like, I'm just going to address it. And there's so many things, I had so many moments today where I have this instance of a thought like, oh, maybe I don't want to message that person, or maybe I don't. No. I'm not playing that game. And I'm telling you, when you can eradicate fear from your consciousness and even see it as a thing that is not even real, when you can start to play that game, I promise you, you'll start taking actions and showing up in a way that allows you to actually get the results you're after. Because we've placed so much emphasis on the actions or the strategies or the processes. We're checking the boxes, doing the thing. But if you're coming with so much fear in your consciousness, in your awareness, everything you touch has a residual of fear on it. And I know sometimes it's kind of funny, this conversation around fear too, because I had a friend of mine who had sent me, we were just chatting a little bit, and she was like, oh, I was thinking about, doing something. And she was like, and I decided not to do it. Or there was something that she was wanting to do. And I started talking about fear. And she was like, no, I don't think it's fear. And so, she just kind of like didn't think it's fear. And I'm like, So I messaged her back and I said, if you were 1000% confident and courageous, would you do this? She said, yeah. I said, all right, well, there's fear there. She was like, crap. Okay. I see that now. So sometimes it's literally hard and troublesome to see fear for what it is, because there's this conversation. And I'm telling you, like, when you have this discernment, it's game on for you. If and when you come to really know this fork in the road that you'll come to time and time again, and you're able to discern one way from the other, it's freaking on. That fork in the road is this in alignment, or is there fear here? Because sometimes it's like, oh, this doesn't quite feel right. Maybe it's misaligned, things of that nature. And that will trip you up. I was going to do this webinar, but I just don't feel lit up about it, so I'm not going to do it. I was going to send this email, but just like, just didn't feel aligned with it. It's such an excuse sometimes. It's ridiculous, because people use that as a scapegoat. People use that as a way out. Because at the end of the day, if you were just blazing a trail, doing your thing, heart on fire, I'm here to freaking help people, let's go. You're not going to have these dances, these two steps where you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You're just going to go. You're going to know afterwards if, that maybe didn't feel aligned, all good. But if you're constantly trying to be in this place of alignment while holding yourself back every step that you might or might not take, having resistance, having to think yourself into safety, is this a safe play? Let me think it through 100 ways from Sunday. It's not going to work like that. And it's painful because it hurts me to even talk about this, because I've been there far too freaking long, and I got there again. And it bothers me because I don't want that for myself, and I don't want that for you. And so check back in for a minute. There's a lot of people, and I carry, I don't know what it is. Like I'm working on this as well. I carry a lot of tension in my throat chakra as well. Right? It's just not fully free. It's almost like in a past life, and I've even, checked in about this. It's like I was either strangled or, something. I carry a lot of resistance in my throat. I've done a tremendous amount of work. I've freed it up. It's still some there. In my heart, right? This is a place where people try to protect themselves the most. Like you had a, broken heart at one point. Somebody broke your heart. I think we've all had that. So you close off. Somebody said something that wasn't very nice. You close off. Your parents pick at you sometimes or say some not nice things about you, so you close off. Then you're trying to open up through this vest, if you will, through this plate, this block, this stone wall. You try to open up through that, and it doesn't resonate. It doesn't hit home. It doesn't connect because you're closed off. Like I work tremendously here as well. It's just like I want to make sure that I'm keeping my heart open. There's times when I'm a little bit frustrated with the kids or whatever, or little man Bentley is not trying to go to sleep, and I start closing off. I start getting frustrated, and I'm like, he's probably doing this because he's reaching out because he doesn't feel love. He doesn't feel connected. So I'll sit there, I'll have a moment, take a breath, open my heart, and I will feel love. Right? The way to open your heart is through opening your heart. The way to feel love is through feeling love. So open that heart, feel love, check in, and you can go through the rest of your chakras as well. But also I want to take this note, like there has been the easiest way for me to identify if there's fear is for one thing, it's my behavior. If I'm hesitating, and I could have a fear response from a, fight from my wife that's playing over in my business. Right. So there's things we can do about that. Saging and, and just breath work. Start to do more breath work. Shaking it out, dancing, exercising, viscerally just shake that trauma, shake that emotion out. But here's where I feel fear the most at times. It's literally on my skin. That makes me believe it's in my energy field because I can feel it. I can feel this vibration, almost this, what's the word I'm looking for? Almost this annoyance on my skin and maybe just in my bones a little bit, like on my arms, just like on my back. I can feel it, this vibration of ickiness, of fear. And so check in with it and ask yourself the question sometimes, if you feel it, if you identify it, what's this about? The hell is this? What's going on here? And sometimes it's like shining a light on a cockroach, if you will. If you shine a flashlight on a bug that had been in the dark, it's going to scatter. Oh, whoa, he saw me. I'm running. So sometimes the mere act of putting your attention on something that eradicates it from your consciousness. But let's go one step further, because it is a lot of times it's from your thoughts. And sometimes we don't sit here and say, okay, I said this inside my head, therefore I've got this fear response. Sometimes you don't even actually verbalize the words. You just see a picture of it. There's something that connects with a past experience, and it's there. You don't have to necessarily say thoughts or words inside your head in order for you to feel it. Okay, so try that on. Start to notice when anything that goes on in your mind causes a fear response. Even if it was yesterday and you're still feeling it, like what is this? What's going on here? And a very powerful question to ask too is this my energy? Is this my energy? And I've said before, when the coronavirus first was kicking off, I went to Walmart here in my hometown. And I was like, it's such peace about it. I just like I saw something that I can't even put to words early on. I just was never worried about the coronavirus. But I went to Walmart one day and I saw the kind of panic-stricken faces, and everybody was talking about it, and everybody was having this fear response, if you will. And even when I left that place and I wasn't thinking any fear thoughts like, oh, maybe this is a big deal, or, maybe, oh, what if this, what if that? There wasn't any thinking about it. I was at peace in my mind in terms of thinking, but I sure as hell did. I picked up a tremendous amount of fear energy and I did not know it. And it literally took me 3 or 4 weeks to really identify, like, there's something that's like attached to my body here that I'm just not jiving with. It's not connected to the state that I have been in emotionally, because I was in a great